Good morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary. I've been drumming since 1998. I still got plenty to work on. Today, I'm going to be working on the tenors. I march snare, so tenors are not my primary instrument by any means. Now, in these practice streams, I like to share what I'm practicing, how I'm trying to improve, and there are now exactly 400 live streams inside of here. That shows what I was practicing and what kind of question I was answering. There are multiple different chats up on the screen. I've got two different YouTubes, one that's vertical, one that's horizontal. We've got Twitch, we've got Instagram, and then there's a couple more that are running with no chat available on those. But people often ask me questions because I've been drumming since 1998 and because I have a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in music education. So I'll give some advice on how to get better as a performer, as an educator. I will often edit those responses and put them into this playlist that has just under 100 videos inside of here with a lot of drumming tips inside of them if you are interested in it. Did I ever march for a corps? I did. I marched for the academy for 5 years. On my 5th year, I got into a car accident, so I could not march years 6 or 7, but I would have had 7 years in DCI. Anyways, so all of these can be found on my home tab of YouTube. There are over 2,000 exercises in here to improve your drumming. So there's chop exercises, there's over 1,000 grid variations, there's limb independent stuff, which I was practicing in yesterday's stream. There's just under 500 marching bass exercises, there's some drumline cadences, and then there's just under 400 technique exercises in here. And then here's where you can find all the drumming tips, the lessons, and then the live streams. Some of them that say click for more, that means there's so many playlists inside of here you actually have to click to show all of them, like this. Now today, I'm going to be working on improving my scrapes or sweeps on the tenors. But first, we're going to warm up, then stretch and massage, and then we'll do that. Before we do all of that, I need to get into the streaming mindset. Practicing publicly is a weird experience. So we've got Shia LaBeouf here, who's going to help me to get in the mindset to stream. Puts me in a goofy mood. Here we go. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream success. Well, you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Oh, yes, Shia LaBeouf, thank you so much. I am now in the streaming mindset. We're ready to practice the tenor drums. Now, we're on the link that's here. So this is jaredoleary.com/drum. This is my website. This is where I can organize things neater than I can on YouTube. So if you want to find all the chop exercises organized better than I can on YouTube, go here. Now, I'm going to warm up, and I'm going to warm up with a grid variation that is with the diddles on the taps. So if you'll notice here, we've got all these triplet versions, all these 16th note versions. So for the diddles, you can work on 16th or triplet grid variation. And when you click on this, it takes you to a playlist. And this playlist has 63 videos in it. So I'm going to scroll down to diddle on taps, this one. And for every one of these thousands of playlongs that are found for free on the home tab of YouTube, there are timestamps in the descriptions that go up one click at a time. This one starts at 40 beats a minute and goes all the way up to 200. Now, we're going to do a quick warm-up here. I was actually drumming a little bit before this. Normally, I don't, but I was recording a very short video that required me to play in it. So I played for a few minutes. Okay, here we go. Clicky click. We're at 140. It'll count me off, and away we go. Go. Again. We'll do this like 5 times. last rep. Sweet. Now we're going to stretch and massage. This stretch and massage routine I recommend doing every single time you practice. At least once, if not twice a day. Start with your palms facing up, sticks inside of your palms. You pull in, you push through. You're a mechanic. My grandpa was a helicopter mechanic. Well, one of them. And then my other was a automotive mechanic. All right, now we're going to stretch the underside of the forearm. So you could pull it back like this. You could do 2 fingers at a time, 2 fingers at a time. This gives it a little bit of a deeper stretch. Or you could do it on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper your stretch. I'm going to do it this way, but if you do it this way, don't pull too hard or anything, okay? Don't rip stuff. Do. Sorry, had to take out the trash for a second. And cool. Now I'm gonna stretch the top side of the forearm. So you could do it like this. You could do 2 fingers, 2 fingers. You could do this one on your legs if you wanted to. So this is stretching the top side. Or if you do this one on the wall, the higher you go, the deeper the stretch. I'll do this one, but again, don't put all your weight into it. You don't want to tear stuff. And next, we're going to stretch thumb to thumb. This is the last stretch I'll do. Then I'll do a quick massage routine. And then we're going to work on the sweeps on tenors. Finger to finger. And middle fingers. If you do finger to finger like this, it just makes it so that the stretch goes twice as fast. Otherwise, you could, if you have the time, you could just do 1 finger at a time. 100% up to you. It's your time. Do what you want with it. For example, the person who just got banned. That's your time. You do you. And next, I'm going to massage. So after doing a little stretch routine, I recommend massaging. So thumb on top, fingers underneath. Just kind of working the way up and down the forearm. Trying to relax everything. What sticks are those in the frame behind me? Good question. So the one on top are the Scott Johnsons. The old Skojo back when he was with Vic Firth. I don't actually know where he's with now, but I know he was with Vic Firth. And it was a pair of sticks, the very top one, where I was playing it and it was like breaking, and it just like splinters of wood just kept shattering and flying everywhere. And so I was like, all right, that's kind of funny. Let me just snap it in half and finish it. And so I just was like doing rim shots and kept hitting it, and it just would not break. So it's like it's like a normal stick and then a very slim sliver leading up to the bead. So I thought it was funny, so I kept that pair of sticks. But then the pair that's underneath it are a pair of sticks that when I was at Disneyland, I brought my sticks and pad with me in my backpack so I could drum in the lines. So that way, never miss an opportunity to practice. I don't recommend that. It will annoy people. But I have my sticks with me. And, they're like the street performers that they have. Like Ralph Nader is, or at least was, in the like the little army man like marching band thing. And there's like the variety of different street performers at Disneyland. And the one that I saw was this like trash can group. It was like 3 guys looking like janitors with like metal trash cans. And they just were in the Space Mountain area. And they just like flipped their trash cans upside down and started playing on it and banging on it. And so I went up afterwards and was just like talking shop and was like talking to the main guy who's like an older gentleman. And he's like, hey, yeah, I used to actually teach the Blue Devils back in the day. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I love the Blue Devils. They're great. And notice that his name tag tag said Tom, and I was like, I didn't really think anything of it. So I like walk away, and I was like, wait a minute. Tom taught the Blue Devils what? So like I went back, and I was like, wait, are you Tom Float? And he's like, yeah, how'd you know? And I had his sticks in my backpack. Like those were the sticks we were marching with in high school at the time. And so Tom Float and then the two other guys who were with him signed the sticks. We found like a permanent marker. And so it was like just like a weird moment of synchronicity where like the stars aligned. And I just happened to be using the sticks of the guy who was playing on a trash can there. So that's the story behind those two pairs of sticks and why they're up there. Is it worth it to buy rudimental training sticks from our gear page? They pricier than the concert snare sticks. Are they heavier or more durable? Yeah, so it depends on what your goals are. Like if you want to improve your like endurance and whatnot, I highly recommend the heavier sticks. So these are the Hardeman hammers. They're the exact same as a normal pair of Hardemans. So here's a normal pair. They're taped up, but it's the same bead. The only real difference is it's like that's how much shorter it is. Very slightly shorter, but they are significantly heavier. So a double tape pair of Hardeman hammers versus a double tape pair of Hardemans, these are 44% heavier. So the reason why I use them is because it just like helps me to just work on my chops and whatnot. So when I switch to like a normal pair of Hardemans, they just feel so effortless, just like to be able to move the motion, everything about it. It feels like I'm not even trying when I'm playing. So I really like playing with the extra heavy sticks, which is why I use these in all of the streams, except for if I'm doing tenor drums, then I'll switch to the Hardeman multi-tenor sticks. And so these are much shorter actually. So if we go butt to butt, so like that's about how short they are. And then the bead is way larger than like a normal Hardeman. That's so you can get over the rims a little bit easier and doing crossovers and stuff. So that's that. What's my favorite song or band? I don't really have one. I mean, it just constantly is shifting. Like I just heard the song called Dopamine by Wing, W-I-N-G. It's a beatboxer. And that song is... it just bops. The fact that like he's making all those sounds with just his mouth is extra impressive, but also the song is just really good as well. Why is my mouse not working? YouTube. Hello. It's like frozen. Yeah, weird. It's totally frozen on my end. Okay. Let's try doing this. Cool. Just pulled up the chat. Interesting. So now Chrome is just like crashed. Okay, I'm gonna close out Chrome. And let's reopen it. See if we can fix this real quick. Do. Boop, you go there. Boop, you go there. Twitch chat. Sorry about this. This is the first time this has ever done that. A new experience. Oh, we get to experience it together. Cool. Twitch chat, you go there. Well, it closed the Instagram stream. Wah, wah. Okay. Hey, we're back. The joys of technology. It's great when it works. Okay, now I gotta adjust that real quick. Now I gotta adjust that real quick. Well, that was weird. You love tenors, Tyler? What? I didn't know that about you, actually. Who's the greatest boxer of all time? I mean, I'm not sure what that has to do with tenor drums, but you tell me. Okay, we warmed up, we stretched and massaged, and now we're going to actually work on our tenor scrapes. So if we scroll down here, there's thousands of exercises to go through. And the exercise that I'm going to be working on today is under the technique section. So if you click on here, you open this up, there's a lot of different playlists that you can use to improve your drumming. Like if you want to work on your stick control, cool, we got some variations for that. If you want to work on your endurance and speed, cool, work on that. But I'm going to work out of the double stop variations playlist. You actually play the alto drums? Oh, that's cool. I play the soprano drums. So the exercise I'm going to work out of is the isolated diddles. And we're going to do this with some sweeps. Back when I used to teach elementary general music, I had to sing in falsetto, so that like high-pitched voice that I was just doing. And some of the kids would be like, why are you singing that way? Because you haven't hit puberty yet, kid. Sorry. This is the pitch that you sing at. Hate to break it to you. That way they don't have to like transpose an octave. Anyways, random story. Okay, so this exercise is a great way to work on your diddles. So I was working on this the other day for just the like single drum, so one drum. And so the exercise, you play right hand, then you do both hands, but you do it like, 8 instead of 4. Then you do left hand, and then both. Now, when you're doing the double stop, the point of this is to make sure that you don't have that flammy sound, but instead you hear a popping sound on the first and second note of the diddle. This is an isolated diddle, so there's only 2 notes. But if there's 3 notes, which is a variation for that, or 4 notes, then you can do that one as well. So when you're working on it, you want to make sure that your hands line up with this. Now, I'm going to do it with some tenor scrapes or sweeps. So let me switch to my other sticks. And so the way I'm going to work on this is work on going from one drum to the next. So for example, if we're playing, the first note of the diddle will be on drum 1, and then the second note will be on drum 3 while doing it. Same thing for the left hand, so it'll be on drum 2 and drum 4, and then we'll also work on it going up, so the other direction. So from 3 to 1, and from 4 to 2, etc. And when you're working on it, you obviously don't want to hit the rim, and you don't want to hit inside in between the rim. Sounds like I'm scratching a record. Cool. So this is the exercise. So we're going to do this at a little bit of a faster speed. So it looks like nice. You might give it a try. It's a great exercise. Highly recommend it. 100. Sure. We'll go there. So normally what I would do is I go through this at like 40 and like play through really slowly. But for this one, I'm working on that quick motion in between each one of the notes where I'm actually having to move, pivot, not move my wrist, not bend like this, but move the full arm from one drum to the next while playing through this, okay? So that's the motion that I'm isolating and focusing on, and so I'm not slowing it down for the moment. We're going to start at 100. But if you're practicing, I highly recommend starting at 40 while doing this. Yeah, to take it at 50. Yeah, the 3-4-5, 5-4-3 spree is a fun one. I wrote that out of inspiration from the Blue Devils 2000 spree, so that's another one that's kind of like that, if anyone's interested. Double stops. Now left hand. Double stops. Now both hands doing the rolls. Okay, so now I'm going to do it, but I'm going to go up the drums. The left hand is playing double stops, but it's not moving, at least on this one. Now it's moving. Now the right hand's going to stay on drum 3. This is why we're practicing. I'm gonna go a little slower. It's too fast for me right now. I'm hitting the rim on there. My interior going to the inside are typically the weaker ones. When I'm going to the outside of the drums, whether I'm doing it this way or this way, this feels more natural, going like this. So when I go in from like 1 to 2 or 2 to 1, it feels a little awkward. So let's slow this down a little bit. So let's go to, let's see what happens at 90. 90, 90, 90. Boop. I'm going to do the same split again. So I'm going to go up the drums. So I'm doing from drum 3 to 1, and then from drum 4 to 2. Okay. Whoops. Interestingly, it's like the first note that screws up. Yeah, it's the first note that I keep screwing up. That's interesting. Okay, now the interior drums. So I'm going to the outside. So from drum 2 to 1. Now it's double stops. The left hand's staying on one drum, the second drum. Okay. That one's a little weird doing this, but now we're gonna go inside. So just the right hand. Double stops. Only the right hand's doing this sweep. Just the left hand. Now we're chasing after each other. Okay, so that's what we're doing with this one. Now I'm going to go down on the outside drums. Just constantly shifting it. Left hand. That's better. Okay, now we go up the drums. 2, ready, and go. Yikes. Okay, now we're going to switch again. So we're going from 2 to 1 for the right hand and 1 to 2 for the left hand. So, okay, 1 and 2, and here we go. Double stops. Have any simple scratch tutorials released? Yeah. Go to my home tab, go down to the scratch section, and then check out the scratch tips or the projects. There's a bunch of scratch videos on there. And then if you teach computer science, there's a couple hundred podcast episodes for computer science educators. You like to think about squaring up my scrapes. First note is cutting in. When I think of squaring up, I think of fighting. Probably from my background in Muay Thai. You're a mid, Deb? Yeah, so the home tab will have, if you go down to the scratch section, because there's like a bunch of different sections in there, the home tab is where you want to go for that. But lots of simple scratch tutorials in there. And then videos for computer science education. Was it inside now? I think. Indonesia, that's cool. I've never been there. Welcome. Ah. That was flawless. Let's do that again. It was so good, I just want to try it again. Hey, glad to hear you like those tutorials. I'm working on more. Stay tuned. No! Bad puppy. Jeffrey, good morning. We should, like, our next dogs, for my wife and I, we should totally name it like Flam Drag. Chut cheese, sit. That'd be fun, right? Just like random drum rudiments. Paradiddle, heel. Okay, so the inside sweeps are super inconsistent for me. So I need to keep working on that. Yeah, Griffpatch has a lot of very advanced tutorials. I wish he would create more tutorials for beginner scratchers, because like he's really good at what he does, but the videos are a bit inaccessible for like the intro and beginner scratchers. And that's not a critique or anything. Like you could say that for a lot of my play-alongs, they're like too difficult for people. But if you play them at 40, then it's more accessible. But yeah, so Griffpatch has some awesome scratch projects. Super cool, but a bit difficult for newer people, in my opinion. Come here, left-hand puttada. That'd be funny. Yeah, so I need to slow this down. It's consistently not good. I don't know what that says, actually. Can I play cross something? I don't know what that last word is, so I guess not, because I don't know what the word is. I failed you. 80. Let's slow this down. Yeah, what if you're like, book report off the left, book report off the right? I said off the left. Off the right, sit. Be weird, right? I'm gonna do inside again. Really focusing on that left hand. Hey, have a good one. Thanks for stopping in. Let's try it with the outside drums. Still going to the inside, to the interior. also known as up the drums. Depends on where you're going. Too many words that mean the same thing. You remove the rems from your tenor pads so you don't hit them? I mean, you joke, but like, that's kind of how the Blue Devils were way back in the day. I don't know if they still do it, but they like, the rumor was they filed down the rims because they were significantly smaller rims, and they were actually like below the head some years. So if you like went in the lot and like looked at it from the side, and you're like, wait, what? Like, it was basically impossible to hit the rim unless you, like, change the angle of your stick, and all of a sudden, like, we're basically playing below the head, then you do that. So, yeah. Maybe this was just, like, theory and all, but it certainly looked that way from the side. Hey, thank you for the sub. I appreciate it. Anyways, all right, so I'm sticking with the moving up the drums, also known as going to the inside with these sweeps, because these are the ones that are most inconsistent with me. When I'm playing going down the drums or going to the outside, so like from here to here, then it feels much more comfortable than when I'm doing to the interior, going inside this way. So I'm going to keep working on this. Yeah, the System Blue drums. They had cutouts in the scrape zones. It was a terrible idea and didn't work. Yeah, so wouldn't that like drastically impact the tuning in terms of like making it so that like you're gonna have a different amount of weight or pressure downward from it? And, like, the structural stability of the rims as well? Because, like, if it was, like, the same structurally and, like, you didn't have an issue with it, why not just make the entire thing the same size? So, from an engineering standpoint, it has to be, like, mechanically a bad idea to do that. Huh. Any My Block tips? Yeah, there's videos in there. I know there's a lot, so if you go to the home tab, go into the scratch tips, whoop, and you scroll down. See, there's tons of videos in here. How to create a custom block in Scratch. It's 1 minute and 21 seconds. So go to that one. It's number 30 right now in the list, so you do got to scroll down a little bit, but there's, you know, a lot of videos in here, so that's where it's at. Right now, it's just like organized by popularity. You're very welcome. I've got thousands of videos in here and thousands of drumming ones. So if anyone at any time like has a question, like what do I use to work on my diddles, etc., you're more than welcome to leave a comment. But I do have like the very first link on each one of these thousands of play-alongs. It takes you to my website. And there's a link right here that says start here if you don't know what to practice. So if you're a drummer and you're trying to figure out, well, what chop exercise should I work on? Or what grid variation, or what should I do to improve my flams or my rolls with all these hundreds of technique exercises and over 1,000 grid variations, blah, blah, blah. So this has timestamps inside of it, and it has it organized by different topics. So you can be like, how do I work on my rolls? How to work on my timing, my accent taps? And so I give sometimes like several minute explanation of some different exercises that you can use to practice to get better. So that's at the top of the website. So if anyone's interested in that, it's this one. Also in each one of these like sections to jump to another one is right there. Start here if you don't know what to practice. Anyways, all right, so let's keep working on this. I want to get better. Slowly but surely. Hey, thank you for the follow. I don't know where that's at, but somewhere. Boop. Screw Scratch, start with assembly. Yeah, start with assembly language. Anything that's higher level than C is a no-go. So I learned C++ as my first language, and then I switched over to like other stuff. And when I like was playing with like learning Swift, because like I almost got a job at Apple, so I had to learn Swift for it. And I was like, wow, they have this thing called optionals and like so many cool things, and like semicolons were also optional, which is different than the idea of an optional. I probably shouldn't have used the two words in the same sentence, but now I've confused people. Anyways, good. Success. Pro educator here. But yeah, like, and then even playing around with Ruby with Sonic Pi, for anyone who's like a programmer and is also interested in music. If you go to under the drumming content, there's a music and coding section right here. So this has like a bunch of stuff related to like Scratch or using Sonic Pi, which uses Ruby, which is a syntax light, very high level programming language. There's some really cool stuff that you can do with Sonic Pi to be able to live code music, like make music like as a performance, or to be able to like make a composition with code. And so I've got some like example projects and some lessons and stuff. I don't know why that video is unavailable. That's weird. So if anyone's interested in it, you can check that out. But anyways, I'm rambling a bunch. Let's hit drum. Ugh, go. F11. We'll do the outside drums again. You know, Tyler, you joke about like having to be able to like define what bread is, but there's a lesson that a lot of teacher educators will do where they will have students who like want to become educators like write a lesson plan about like making a PB&J, and then they'll like follow the lesson plan to the T. So when they say like spread the peanut butter on the bread, it didn't say with a knife, so they'll use like their finger, and it's like the whole point is horrible release, is to like get you used to thinking through the experience from a student standpoint and like being very literal with like the words that you use in lesson plans. So a lot of like computer science educators will use that, but we also used it like when I was in my undergrad. They had us do that as well. So it's like a teacher educator trick for young teachers in the making to do stuff like that. So you can learn the importance of using very specific words, and then again, thinking through the student perspective. Like you'll see some like younger educators who will be like reading like a picture book, and they'll like read it so that like the students can't see it. And it's like, you got to like do this, and then you read this way, and then you look back at the class so they, you know, can see the story. Use your imagination. Anyways, go you can do it. Right hand only. Come on, Jared, wake up. I'm very ADD this morning apparently. Left hand, why'd you do that? I'm so disappointed in you. I'd like a refund on those double strokes. They were not fresh. Okay, we'll do the inside drums. Moving to the inside. Oops. It's going the wrong way. Ew. Yeah, so it's the first note of the diddle. Why, left hand? Yeah, that first note, still hitting the rim. Hey, I appreciate you stopping in. Hope you have a good rest of your day. You know, Tyler, I have very little experience with Python. I did like a couple of workshops with it, but like nothing outside of that. Which is funny because it's like a lot of educators use it. Like, it's way more popular than some of the other languages that I've taught, but haven't learned it. But I remember liking the language. Like, it was easier than like JavaScript, from what I remember. Why do I keep doing the very first note of the left-hand diddle as a rim click? Brain, stop it! Paradiddle, heel. Flam drag, why are you peeing on the carpet? People who are just stopping in are like, what are you talking about? Don't worry about it. Yeah, I need to keep working on this. So I need to slow this down more. The left hand in particular, it's just not good. It's not there. We can do the outside, but the inside is inconsistent. Stop. I need water. But you know, that's why we have these practice streams, to, you know, practice. I hope you enjoyed that ASMR experience as much as I did. It was refreshing. Okay, You wrote pseudocode for a function and then it worked? Did you like write it into like an LLM and then it wrote out the specific syntax for you? Or are you saying in Python you did that? Because that'd be cool. You know, one of these days, like, it's gonna get just so seamless. There's a company called Replit, I think, that like makes it so that it uses LLMs to use normal, just like, hey, I want you to create blah, and then it'll give you the code for it. And so I've heard people like Lex Friedman and some other people who like actually know how to program, who have used it and are like, wow, this is going to replace a lot of programmers. So if you're studying computer science right now, good luck. I wish you well. It's going to become real weird here in the next few years. But yeah. Which is one of the things, so back when I was like full-time teaching computer science, which I know is weird given that I have no degrees in that, the field of computer science education was just constantly pushing for, hey, we need more computer science jobs. That's why we are going to justify why we need more computer science classes. And all they cared about was all the open jobs at the moment. And I, for years, like on my podcast and in presentations that I was doing across the country, like, hey, how about we focus on other things other than just jobs? Maybe we should also think about like creativity and self-expression and things like that. And like gave a lot of examples of ways students were doing that in the classes that I was teaching. And unfortunately, the field has kind of lost all momentum. In fact, a lot of people that I know who are in like the nonprofit space and even some of the smaller for-profit companies are out of business now because they were focused so much on the job side of thing that now that LLMs are like replacing a lot of that and there's a lot of layoffs going on, the general public is like, well, what's the point of learning how to code if you can just like say, hey, AI, write this thing for me, and then it does it for you. The approach to teaching computer science need to evolve and change with the times quicker and quicker as things happen. Yeah, well, one of the problems is it can't because of the standards that are being used. They're rewriting standards for the 2026-2027 school year, so like next summer. And the standards are like what set the direction and the main focal points of like any kind of a subject area. So there are like standards for music, there are standards for English, etc. And so like the nationwide standards were first developed years ago and like they're just now being updated. And that is making it so that with how fast that CS and tech and AI and cybersecurity, those are all technically different but interconnected, how fast all those fields are moving, the standards feel anachronistic, so out of place with, out of touch and out of relevance with like current historical context. So that's something that like music educators have been dealing with for a long time, where like music education is playing sometimes music in ways that was like popular in like the, I don't know, what, the 1800s, the early 1900s. And so everything is so slow to move. Like I think it took like 50 years from when jazz was popular until it like actually got into public schools. Maybe I'm off on my dates. Maybe it was 1920s and then it was introduced in college in like 1950s, something like that. But it was multiple decades before like jazz actually started being taught at the university level and then was eventually taught at like the high school and whatnot level. Same thing for like a lot of things. Like it takes a long time for education to catch up with stuff. So with computer science, it's a lot of stuff that we were teaching. It's like, well, why would I teach that when you don't need to know that anymore? It's no longer relevant. It's kind of a shame because like I really enjoyed teaching computer science. There was a lot of cool things that we did in the classes, but it was like an arts-based computer science courses that I was teaching. So like kids made music, they made art, they made video games, they made stories, animations, things like that. Rather than like, you're going to make a calculator. Cool, that's boring. So like the classes that I taught were so much fun, but computer science as a field, it's just like they shot themselves in the foot with the discourse, the way that they promoted themselves, advocated for themselves. And yeah, that's my 2 cents on it. Thank you for attending my TED Talk. My name is Dr. Jared Dwayne O'Leary. My curriculum changed rapidly in the 4 years you were there. Some professors were anti-AI and didn't let us use it, and others changed everything. Yeah, I mean, the number of people who are digging their heels in with anything related to education, it's like, you can't do that at this point. Like, whether you're teaching an English course or whatever. Like what was it, a couple weeks ago, I was hanging out with some family members who were in town, and one of them is a history teacher, and like the way that they're describing like how they wanted to go back to basics and like paper and pencil, like Scantron bubble tests and like essays where students had to handwrite them and like things like that. And it's like, okay, like I understand what you're trying to do, but you're really kind of getting out of touch with what it's going to be like when they graduate. So a lot of people think that like, I could really go on a rant on this, but there's an idea of like images of curriculum and like, what is the point of a curriculum? Like, is the point to be able to get a future job, or is the point for lifelong learning, or is the point to reproduce social values in the classroom, which is what some people in politics are really against. And I'm not going to go into details on that because I hate politics. But there's many ways to look at a curriculum and like what is the overall philosophy or intent behind that curriculum. And for the people who are like, well, the only reason for going to school is for jobs, like, okay, well then perhaps what we do inside of the classroom should reflect what they're going to need to be able to know, do, understand, etc. when they get outside of the classroom after 13 years in the K-12 system. Like, if that's what the goal is, which for a lot of people, that is the goal. For me, like, jobs is like, well, yeah, that's part of it, but, you know, there's other things outside of that. Like, what if we actually had a class where you learned how to budget? Like, my wife and I have been debt-free for years now, and we were never taught how to do that in school. Like, literally had to, like, read Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey and go, oh, wait, there's an alternative path as opposed to tens of thousands of dollars in debt? What can we do to do that? Or even stuff like how to take care of yourself mentally. Like, psychology classes teach, like, here's what this disorder is, here's what this thing is, like in the Psych 101 courses. But, like, what if it was actually teaching you how to handle anxiety and how to respond to a panic attack, or like how to like live with chronic depression? I had to go to a therapist for a long time to like learn stuff like that. Why don't we learn stuff like that inside of the schools? That would have been valuable. So like the 100% focus on jobs and like everything about this, like as an image of curriculum for like that is the intent, that is the purpose of education. I disagree with that. Like, we need to incorporate some of these other things. And I know that might sound like hippy-dippy to some people, but, like, as somebody who's taught every grade, kindergarten through doctoral student, I've seen every single, like, grade span across all of that and taught all of them. Like, this is stuff that, like, I wish there was more of. And I'll conclude my TED Talk there. Most colleges still only teach 1800 European-style music theory. Yeah. So for my PhD in music education, I was holding off on taking the one final course I had to do, which is a music theory class. I really didn't want to do it because it was completely pointless for me. And because I was taking these, they were music theory credits, so they were the electronic music courses, but they did not count as a music theory class. It was really annoying. It's through the music theory department. And I was like, why can't this count? Like, I'm learning music production, I'm learning... in the second course, you're learning how to use Max. It was called Max MSP at the time, but it was a graphical programming language to make music apps. And like, I created my own quantized four-track loop station that made it so that like I could like record to whatever BPM I want, any meter I wanted, just like hitting a foot pedal, and then it would allow me to record 4 different tracks that would layer on top of each other. Like, that was really cool and really interesting, but it didn't count towards my degree because it was not considered an actual music theory course. So my very last semester, I was like trying to petition it, but I had to take this course on Russian music theory, and it was like exploring like literally music theory from the 1800s, and I was like, this is not at all relevant to anything I want to do. And so I was meeting with the professor like during her office hours because I was really struggling with like this piece that we were analyzing. And I was like, I have no idea what this is. It was like a really weird resolution on this cadence. And she's like, well, if you don't know what that is, you're not a real musician. And I was like, wait, what? This is literally the last class I have to take for a PhD in music education. I have a master's in music education. I have a bachelor's in music education. I got a full ride percussion performance scholarship while I was a music education student. Like, what are you talking about that I'm not an actual musician? And like that gatekeeping that she had and that so many other professors have is, no, you have to understand this very important thing that is the most important thing in the world. It's like, no. Like, no one cares about your subject area like you do. Like, I also have autism and I have a lot of passions that I'm very interested in, but I don't expect everyone else to have the same interest in like music or like computer science or whatever. Like, you need to get outside of your little bubble and realize that the world doesn't revolve around you. Like, I was talking to my wife. She also went to the same school of music, and when she was getting her degree, she had a professor who refused to count our wedding like as an excusable absence. And so when she's like, hey, I'm getting married on this day, like, what kind of assignments can I do in advance to make sure that like I'm doing okay in the class? And she's like, well, is that an emergency? And she's like, no, but I mean, this is like a ideally a once in a lifetime thing, like, getting married. And she's like, well, that's not an emergency. She's like, well, cool. I'm not going to be there. So just FYI, like, what kind of like weird, like arrogance. This is the most important thing in my life. Like, she had another professor who, the courses lined up exactly at the same time as another course. So she had to basically like alternate, going from one on one day and the other on the other day. And the professor was like, well, this is more important than that other course. You need to be here. The professor who was like really arrogant about this was a music history professor and was saying that his music history class was more important than her class that was actually for her main degree in music therapy. It's like, you need to understand the hierarchy here. She's getting a degree in music therapy. That class on music therapy is much more important than music history. I hate to break it to you, random professor, but you need to get over yourself and understand that the world does not revolve around you and your class and all the gatekeeping that's involved with that. But sorry, I'm in a ranting mood. If you ever taught a music class, I would want to engage with music of the current era. Yeah, so you teach sheet music as well as DAWs. There was one professor that I had who was a music theory professor, and because of the 3 degrees in music education, I had to get, 6 music theory courses? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 music theory courses that I had to do over the years, and only one of them actually like sat down and focused on that. And so it was a compositional modeling course, and it was fantastic. It was a class where we like tried to replicate compositionally works of other composers. So we started off with like, let's analyze, let's say Bach, and now at the end of this like unit, let's create a short piece that somebody might mistake as written by Bach. Cool. Now that we learned that, let's go to Beethoven and let's analyze Beethoven and understand Beethoven, and let's try and replicate a piece that Beethoven would do. And we kept going through this like towards the present, and we actually started to learn like, well, what would this particular person do? So we studied more contemporary people who like actually made like popular music and like try and replicate the compositional styles within that. And it was fantastic. One of the things that also made it fantastic is there was like 6 people in the class, something like that. So it was like super hands-on, and we got to learn so much great stuff from that person. I wish more music classes were like that. And honestly, even some of the computer science stuff that I took, like it was so, I don't know, hands off and like not really relevant to what I wanted to do, which as an educator, it made me go, okay, I will not do that. I don't want to teach that way. But anyways, I talked a lot. Let's chop out real quick. Okay. We're going to go to the Home tab. The Home tab is where you can find thousands of exercises organized here. So if we scroll down a little bit, we got chop stuff. We've got over 1,000 grid variations. Limb independent stuff. I'll work on that tomorrow. We got marching bass stuff, drumline cadences, hundreds of technique exercises, and then like, I think it's like 14 hours of drumming tips and lessons, etc. So you can check those out if you're interested in it. I'm going to chop out, so we're going to play something super fast now that it's the end of the practice stream. So we're going to go over here. What do I want to chop out with? Boop, boop. I did this the other day. I mentioned it. Let's do this one. So this is Blue Devil's 2000 shopping spree. And honestly, I don't even have this one memorized, so wish me luck. Let's go at 100. Using the timestamps in the description, you can go as slow as 40 on this one, or you can go up to 200 if you know this one way better than I do. Whatever you want. That was really bad. Hold on a second. I had to shut something. Okay, so I totally forgot the ending here, so. I'm going to leave off the rim shots because I don't want to, you know, damage my sticks. Let's go faster. Now that I like had a little refresh on how to play this thing, this is a fun spree. It's weird, right? When I first heard it in the lot, I was like, what? Hello. Fun fact, I did not hear this in a lot. You were not born? Wow, I feel old. That's funny. Yeah, 2000. That was the summer in between my, freshman and sophomore year of high school? I'm old. I graduated 2003, so, you know, a long time ago. Back in my day... Turning 40 here in, what, like 3 weeks, something like that? It's a weird ending. You're a clueless mallets player? Hey, I mean, you know, just takes practice. What is the difference between the uppercase case and the lowercase sticking? So the uppercase are for the accents, and the lowercase are for the taps. So, for example, on this very first measure with the accent, you have your uppercase here. It just makes it easier to read through the music when you write it this way. Some people prefer all caps or all lowercase, and I personally loathe that approach to writing the music because this makes it a lot easier to be able to just look at the sticking and go, okay, I know where the accents line up without having to also look at the sticking and above the note. So this is just like a compositional style that I personally prefer, is to put the accents in there. But what's your primary on mallets? You a marimba player? Are you a vibe player? I've done both. I enjoyed learning Burton grip, but Stevens was what I mainly used. We actually have a marimba. Weird story. It's, you know, not in use though. No. Bad Jared. Man, my singles are really bad at the end. My left hand feels tight. We only have so many eyeballs. I mean, speak for yourself. I can grow more. Shh, don't tell anyone. It's a superpower. Boop. All right. Can I play this 140? Maybe. No, wait. I keep screwing that up. I don't know why my brain's not working. I ranted too much about how education system is broken. Let's try it again. I think I can do it. Do it. Shia LaBeouf. No! Well, I could relearn that one. It's a fun one, though. It's just, I'm playing it too fast right now. All of these play-alongs you can either find on my home tab, or if you go to the link that's at the top of each one of these descriptions, it takes you to my website, which everything is organized neater than I can on YouTube. So there's 62 chop exercises, including the shopping spree that I was just playing, as well as Blue Devils 99, 345 543, the 421 spree. We've also got Maury spree, Jeepers shopping spree, stock shopping spree, stock spree with threes, Velvet Knights, 5-4 spree. That one's my favorite one. We've got over 1,000 grid variations in here, a bunch of limb independent stuff, a few hundred marching bass exercises, some drumline cadences, and hundreds of technique exercises organized into different playlists. So endurance and speed, go to that playlist. I think there's like 60 videos in there. Stick control, there's like over a dozen in there, I think. So check those out. And then there's also well over 13 or 14 hours of drumming tips, all the prior live streams, and then some scripted lessons like how to hold a drumstick or how to hold traditional grip, etc. So if you want to check those out, you can find them organized there. And if you don't want to go to my website, that's fine. You can find this all on my home tab of YouTube, where I've got it organized into different headers. So for example, the chop stuff is here. The grid stuff is here. Limb independence, marching bass, drumline scores, and then the technique and the tips, etc. So check them out. If the video says members first, it's scheduled to release for free. There's at least one, if not two, videos that comes out every single day. So some of the videos might come out in like a year and a half, because there's like 460 or something like that are scheduled to release at the moment, with more to come. So if you want to get that early access, it's 99 cents. Thank you for the members who have signed up for that. I appreciate you. But if you just want to wait, totally cool. Then it will come out for free eventually. Earned a YouTube follow. You want to eventually get passable at snare? Hey, well, if you scroll down, check out the tips and lessons section. There's a ton of drumming tips specifically for snare. So I marched high school, college, and DCI on snare. With center snare of every line that I was on. So that's my primary. Tenors is for funsies. So if you have questions about snare, feel free to leave a comment in any of these videos. But what I'd highly recommend if you want to get good on snare, focus 50 to 60% of your time on these technique exercises. And then 30 to 40% of your time focus on grid variations. Just do rudiment on one, like flam on one, diddle on one, etc. And then maybe 10 to 20% of your time on the chop stuff. Don't focus on snare breaks. That's not going to set you apart. That's not what's going to get you ahead. That's the dessert. You got to eat your vegetables, and you got to eat your protein. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Okay. I'm going to call it here. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and if you enjoy this content, share it with somebody else. And if you don't share it with somebody else, that's cool. You do you. I'm going to get ready for some Stray. So Stray, we're going to be playing here in probably 15 or 20 minutes. I just got to get set up for that. So stay tuned for gaming. But anyways, goodbye.